let's begin with the elections. The past 12 months have been dubbed as the year of the election. And that's because half of the world population, that's a staggering 4 billion voters, made their voices heard in some 70-plus countries. And while in every country the issues, the leaders, the vote banks are so different, one thread connected them all. Because in ballot after ballot, they've mostly either reined in or booted out ruling parties. The votes have profound implications, of course, for domestic and also international relations, come as they do amid escalating local and geopolitical tensions. So let's tell you about how different countries voted, beginning with South Asia's super election year. 5 countries in the region, including, of course, India, have had elections this year. In India, it was the return of Narendra Modi, one of the few countries, really, where the incumbent won again. It wasn't a wave election as some predicted, but the BJP has scripted history with a hat-trick win in the general elections after 2014 and 2019. Our elections were from April to June. It was a long exercise. You had Bhutan and Bangladesh conducting elections in January, Pakistan did so in February, and Sri Lanka in November. So let's detail out what happened in India first, where Narendra Modi's BJP was unexpectedly stopped short of an outright parliamentary majority, which caught the world by surprise. From 282 in 2014 to 303 in 2019 to 240 in 2024, the BJP needing support of coalition partners, of allies, was an indication of perhaps India's changing political landscape. Prime Minister Modi delivered on key manifesto promises. We're talking about revoking the autonomy of Kashmir, building the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, implementing the citizenship law. The election also was a polarizing one, which was clear in the campaign too. Sample this.
2011 में जब दिल्ली में कांग्रेस की सरकार थी, तब उस समय के प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी की कैबिनेट ने ओबीसी आरक्षण का हिस्सा छीनकर, डाका डालकर, धर्म के आधार पर वोट बैंक को आरक्षण देने की मंजूरी दे दी थी.
The ambitious slogan of Ab Ki Baar 400 Par, aiming for more than 400 seats, falls NDA alliance may have backfired, with such a massive majority raising fears of constitutional changes among the poor, which was essentially the campaign of the opposition. But with 2 assembly election wins since, in 2024, the BJP has roared that essentially a win is a win. And going into 2025, it's going to be interesting again politically, because we're going to see more state elections. Let's now talk about our neighboring countries as well. Now in Bangladesh, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina won the 4th consecutive term, though the election was boycotted by the country's main opposition party over allegations of crackdowns on political dissent. A few months later, however, we saw a dramatic turnaround in Bangladesh. Hasina had to resign and flee the country after thousands of people came to the streets over demonstrations that began as protests against job quotas and then swelled into a movement demanding her ouster, which we'll talk about the crisis in just a bit. Let's first tell you about the elections in other countries too, like Pakistan, where Shehbaz Sharif secured his position amid a politically charged environment, defeating Imran Khan, who was kept in jail. Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf was even barred from the polls, resulting in party candidates contesting polls as independents. Now, the government formation was facilitated by a coalition with the Pakistan People's Party, the PPP, led by Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. So now that we've told you about our neighbors, let's also talk about the elections in America. Perhaps the biggest election headline of 2024, which is that Trump has returned. While Narendra Modi won his 3rd consecutive election in the United States, it was the 3rd consecutive presidential election where the incumbent was booted out, where the incumbent party lost. Assassination attempts, criminal convictions, a change in the political opponent, none of that could stop Donald Trump from returning to the White House. Trump beat rival Kamala Harris in all 7 closely watched swing states, winning both the Electoral College as well as the popular vote.
If you don't mind, may I have the pleasure of introducing some incredible people? because they stuck right from the beginning, from the very moment we announced, and they believe in make America great again. That's what they believe in. They believe in America first. We're putting America first. First of all, my family, Melania, Barron, Don Jr. and Kimberly, Ivanka and Jared, Tiffany and Michael. They're so supportive.
Now, there's an interesting trend here. In India, in the United States, there's a surge of the far right that cemented its place in Europe too. 7 European Union member states, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Finland, Hungary, Italy, the Netherlands and Slovakia, they all have far-right parties as the government, as the governing head. A political party essentially viewed as potentially extremist by German authorities has won a state election in Germany and is now polling in second for a national election that's scheduled for February 2025. Now, there have been big wins also for France's national rally led by Marine Le Pen. Though Le Pen suffered a surprise by-election loss just a few days ago, it remains the largest party in the French parliament. So what explains the surge of the right in so many countries? Now, some analysts believe it's directly linked to one of the biggest talking points of the year. I'm referring to immigration. The view is that voters are reacting rather adversely to the loss of a homogeneous culture in their own country. But there's one country that's bucked the trend, United Kingdom. The immigration explanation loses teeth when we look at the election results in the UK. And the reason I say that is because migrants truly represent a significant part of the population in a cosmos city like London. And yet it's here that the Conservative Party, led by Rishi Sunak, suffered its worst election defeat. Many blame a slew of reasons: economic stagnation, public service failures, internal divisions also for Sunak's loss.
This is a difficult day, at the end of a number of difficult days. But I leave this job honoured to have been your Prime Minister. This is the best country in the world, and it is thanks entirely to you, the British people, the true source of all our achievements, our strengths, and our greatness. Thank you.
Sir Keir Starmer became the first leader from the Labour Party to win a UK national election since Tony Blair, who won 3 in a row starting 1997. But is democracy under scrutiny? Some election results would show that. In Russia, for example, President Vladimir Putin basked in an election victory that was never really in doubt. He won his 5th term with a record number of votes, cementing his already tight grip on power in a victory which he said showed Moscow had been right to stand up to the West and send its troops into Ukraine. Meanwhile, in an alternate universe, here's a fun fact: Ukraine would have actually gone to polls in 2024, but under martial law imposed in the wake of Russia's invasion in Ukraine in 2022, Volodymyr Zelensky has indefinitely postponed the election.